behalf of Department of Biotechnology, Goswami Ganesh Das Sanatan Dharm College, Chandigarh, for this seminar or webinar on COVID-19 related lifestyle. I will request our worthy principal, Dr. Balraj Thapar, to kindly formally welcome our participants.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Esteemed Chief Guest, Professor N.K. Gongli, former DG ICMR, Honorable President GGDSD College Society, Shri Upgradation Sharma, revered Professor R.C. Sopti, INSS Fellow, former VC Punjab University and BBAU, respected resource persons, Dr. Vikas Puri, PGI, Chandigarh, Dr. Vardhimala Jain, Trishla Foundation, Prayagraj, Professor Santosh Kumar, Kumaon University, Professor S.K. Malhotra, Allahabad University. On behalf of the management, the staff, and the students of GGDSD College, Chandigarh, I extend you all a hearty and warm welcome to the webinar on the COVID-19 transformation of the life systems, organized by Chandigarh Forum for Science and Technology Communication and GGDSD College, Chandigarh. The topic of webinar is quite relevant and current in today's scenario. COVID-19 has transformed, metamorphosed, and changed our life systems to a great extent. It has brought paradigm shifts in our lives. The changed lifestyle appears to be new normal in our lives till the vaccine comes in the market. Higher education has been impacted in a big way, and technology landscape has emerged. The biggest and most sudden transition the pandemic has forced us is the switch to online education. I will not stand between you and the experts. Their words of wisdom will be a source of guidance and inspiration for all of us. I thank you all for sparing your valuable time to be with us on this occasion. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir. I will request our worthy president, sir, Shri Upgradation Sharma ji, to give his presidential remarks.
Esteemed Dr. Ganguly, Dr. Sopti, Dr. Vikas Puri, Dr. Vardhimala Jain, Dr. Santosh Kumar, Dr. Naveen Batra, and Dr. Thapar. It's a proud privilege for GGDSD College to host this webinar on COVID-19 transformation of lifestyle. GGDSD College Society is a college is very thankful to Dr. Sopti for organizing this seminar, and also because Dr. Sopti had such a long association with GGDSD College. If I recall way back 25 years ago, a very small step was taken by the GGDSD College Society under the guidance of Dr. Sopti to start a add-on course on biotechnology. His association and his guidance has made us mature this college to mature to have a BSc, MSc in biotechnology and bioinformatics. And today, proudly, we have got a research center in biotechnology, physics, and chemistry. This pandemic has brought a lot of changes in our lifestyles. Today, life has got digitalized. We talk about online education. We talk about work from home. We talk about working purchases online. The things which were not known to the common people, which we used to hear in the major metros, have come down to the small town and villages. Pandemic has shown the way to us in spite of the fact that this pandemic, today, the 9.5 crores of people are affected by it. 16 lakhs have expired. But its impact has been so wide and open that we as a society, global society, are feeling the need to do something because of this pandemic. Pollution, which is one of the major air or other pollution, has been a major cause for the worry for the world community. There has been conferences on this right from Kyoto to Budapest and other places. Humanity has been trying to find a solution to this. And this pandemic, which resulted in lockdown, showed us the way. A simple example is that from the place like during the pandemic, during the lockdown, people were able to see the snow-clad Himalayas. The impact of this is still felt, but is it going to be permanent or temporary? Depends on how we as a society respond to our lifestyle in the future. All I can say that environment is something which requires attention of the global society, and discipline is required by the society to improve on our lifestyle. Sanitation, we talk about so many things, but implementation to the fully extent is the need of the day. And especially after the pandemic, we need to gear up ourselves to improve our lifestyles. Today, there are certain guidelines which we are trying to follow, fully, partially somewhere, but there is need to be disciplined life in the future. I leave it to the experts to talk about this. As a common man, this is what I thought is very relevant to the society after this pandemic. Wish you all the best, and you have a good, meaningful seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind word. We'll move on with the proceeding. We have with us Dr. R.C. Sopti, former Vice Chancellor of Punjab University and Baba Bhimrao Ambedkar Central University, and he has been a part-time Director of National Research Development Corporation, and also elected General President of Indian Science Congress for 101st session in 2013-14. He has been a member of executive of NAAC, that is a National Accreditation Assessment Council, Bangalore, and chairman of governing body of National Council of Science Museum, Kolkata. He was also earlier appointed the Vice Chancellor of Central University of Himachal Pradesh, although he could not join and continue with the Punjab University. He has his Masters and PhD from Punjab University, and also prestigious. Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you listen me now?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma, for allowing us to hold this webinar and launching of the new forum for science communication at Chandigarh, but we'll make it in North Indian. And it's all because of the blessing of our senior scientists like Dr. Ganguly. Friends, we know that how the COVID-19 has changed our total life system. Both biotic and non-biotic systems have been affected. You had talked about, Dr. Sharma, about education, and there's a health. Even the total system has been changed. Our social life system has been changed, whether it's a nutrition, living style, or name anything. which has been affected. But at the same time, it has given us an opportunity to innovate. And we have now innovated the education system, innovated the new health system, telemedicine, and all those things, which was there, but it has now been accelerated. Our house system has changed. The women who have been drastically affected, our maids have been affected, even the labor has been affected, but we are trying to innovate in such a way that we live in the new world. Because why I call a new world? Because there's no boundary of for COVID-19 or developing or underdeveloped countries, because rather America, which is a developed country, is much more affected than we are at the moment. As has been told by Dr. Karji, about 67 million people have been affected by this one, and India itself has about 96 lakh plus cases there. But at the same time, recovery rate is increasing, is more than 94%. And we are waiting for a vaccine. There has been good news in the last week that Pfizer has come up with a vaccine which is accepted by the government of UK. They have applied to the government of India also. Similarly, Indian vaccines are coming up. We are keeping our fingers crossed that how effective they will be. But at the same time, we have to keep in mind that this COVID-19 may not end itself. We may have some other pandemics also. So we have to prepare ourselves for future. And for future, we have to innovate. It is on this ground, we are organizing this seminar or webinar, COVID-19. And I'm glad that our honorable, very, very senior scientist, reputed international status scientist, Dr. Nirmal Kumar Ganguly, has accepted to inaugurate this. And he's so kind that I can't express in words his kindness. Despite being a best of the administrator, best of the scientist, best of the teacher, he's the best of the human being. He is so friendly that we don't have any demarcation that he is a very senior and I can't talk to him. Rather, whenever there's some time between us, he calls and we talk to each other. It is because of his greatness that he is well respected, not only in India, but whole of the world. He had been, he's a fellow of all the academies of Government of India, many of the international academies. He was a Director General, ICMR, the highest position in the medical circle, which he had held, and he really transformed the ICMR. The building, which was just a debilitated condition, he got it renovated. He started very new programs. Then he was also chosen as a member of the Health Committee constituted by the Government of India. Still, he is a well sought after scientist and administrator by Government of India, by the WHO, and name any of the things. He's so busy. See, one of the great things that we are sitting at home and he is sitting in his office and working all the day for us, because he is always thinking to find out how to improve the health system, how new innovations can be done. He's so well-read person. I think he hardly sleeps for an hour or so. He even when he traveled to various places, coming from Delhi to Chandigarh in a car, he will keep on studying. He is always updated, is in knowledge, and we are lucky that because if I start saying all those things, it will take a whole day. Rather, that will be less. So we are honored that Dr. Ganguly ji has very, very kindly agreed to inaugurate and bless us with his words. And his words are really golden words that which are educative for us. It always provided new information. Dr. Saab, we are highly obliged, and this is a launching webinar for the newly formed. We thought of it, the Chandigarh Forum for the Science and Technology Communication, because basically the seeds have been sown by you long time ago, you and Dr. Basu, as a Chandigarh Science Congress, and we thought, because they stopped in between, I thought we should start in a new way that this communication, and we would love that if you accept the chief patronship of this very forum, and I know with your blessings it will flourish and will be able to succeed in our venture, that how to communicate the science in the rural folk, in the far off places that people have forgotten our scientific culture, because everything is scientific, and they will, if they adopt science in their whatever profession they are, they will flourish and they will do well. Sir, I won't take much time in between you and me, and I request you to please give your words of blessing to all of us. Dr. Ganguly ji. Sir, unmute kariye. Yeah.
To Dr. Sopti for your kind words, the President of the GGDSD Society, the principal of the organization, the Accredited of Biotechnology, and all the assembled dignitaries in this particular forum. It is for me a great pleasure to join this forum in this important webinar. As Dr. Sopti has said, I belong to Chandigarh. I taught in the PGI Chandigarh, and for these 2 periods I was also directed there. And Punjab University, we took as a sister organization and had a tremendous interaction with them. However, am I still connected? However, when I was here, am I connected, Dr. Sopti? So when I was here, during Dr. Sopti's time, I was very strongly connected to Punjab University and its activity. And this illustrious institute who is holding this particular webinar is well known to anyone who is living in Chandigarh or people outside. So I'm very happy that they are hosting this particular event. As Dr. Sopti said, we have neither have structured courses of health communication or science communication. We have most of the universities offer mass communication or structures like that, or generally. But science communication and health communication both are very important subjects, which are specialized subjects and need specialization. Actually, Boston University, Harvard University, Cornell, Berkeley, all of them have Baylor, all of them have 16-semester courses on science communication and health communication. These are very specialized areas. Whatever we talk, we understand with each other, but our main target is our community. Main target is our political system, administrative system, and each of them need to be reached in a different way so that they understand. Our communities don't understand our language. After some time, they think that it is going above their head, and they shut themselves up from this. And we see during the Covid era what is happening with these messages. So in these messages, it is important that through science communication, we actually bring out messages which are absolutely indefeatable, will be felt and understood by the community and they will participate. If we scare them to death, they will say in any case we will die. And why do we hear all these things? So it need not really be scary. It should be very participatory. And with the evidence, if we tell them that this works, like the mask which I was wearing, this mask is known as eye shield. This is the innovation of India. This was invented by CCNB. It is a 6-layer mask. This actually kills COVID virus on this. It has a negative coating in one of the layers, and this on this virus sticks, and then virus is killed by a chemical which is coated over there. So this is the only mask in the world which not only protects you from the virus, protects the others from the virus, but also protects you, also protects you by killing the virus. So this is at the moment available in Amazon, and one could get it. So if you really see the mask which people wear, and this mask is present in 4 different sizes, and you could choose which will fit you. So then we see that people are wearing masks, but it is actually not properly worn. The mask is not proper. People are making it from the clothing and other things, and it doesn't really work. So we need to really tell them that how the mask should be worn. We should give them an affordable mask and tell them why the mask is important. It is not only to protect themselves, it is to protect their near and dear ones. That it is important to protect your parents and grandparents, because the younger people don't get much severe disease. So then we need to communicate again that younger people become reckless. They say that we don't get the disease, so why we should bother? They should bother for their family, for their elders. The children who are one of the major spreaders, although they might not suffer from the severe form, but they will infect their teachers, they will infect others. To really open the schools, open the universities, we need to really tell them how it is important for everyone to observe the 4 major cardinal things which we need to do. We also need to see that our universities and colleges open. The children, when they don't go to school, the parents cannot go to work. The children, when they don't go to school or when the universities are open, one of the major thriving things in our life, that is communication with each other, which is very, very important. It can't be done through Zoom. The personal communication with each other is very, very important for our mental health. So many people are suffering from mental health. So one of the many major areas will be to open up our education system, create different kinds of classes, create different kinds of personal opinions, and also bring them up to safety. And when the vaccination comes, at least immunize the teachers and others so that they are not affected. We also need to tell young people that you can also suffer. In India, the age is lower in severe infection. So many young people also suffer, but they have a view that they will not have a severe disease, so they become reckless. So this is the kind of things which we should do, communicate with them with scientific language. We also need to tell the youngsters that one of the major things is now we wear masks. Maybe we will prevent crowding here, but what happens that the disease actually spreads in the indoor. Disease spreads when you do small parties, when your relatives visit you. and you become reckless. You don't wear mask, you don't create a distance, you throw small parties, and again you start a infection chain. So the indoor spread with the small groups which assemble indoor in their houses is again something which is very, very important. So we need to, while we need to take appropriate precautions, while we need to create appropriate databases and others, we need to open up our systems and society. This infection is going to be here for the next 2-3 years. We can't really close our economy, close our education system, close everything around us, and thereby destroy our economy, destroy our systems and others. And the total work ethics will change.
Hello.
Or the way people work is changing very, very drastically. And we need to really find some kind of a mechanism in which our age-old way of working, our age-old way of communication, the personal touches, they remain, while we embrace some of the things which are good, which we are doing today. What we are doing today is not very good, not all of them is good. It is okay that the Zoom has become a very important platform and others have become a platform, and we can meet and hold webinars 10 at a time in a day, and making Dr. Sophie spread for 10 different webinars in one single day, and destroying his life, destroying his family life and everything. We need to see that our social fabrics through appropriate scientific measures remain. We also need to see that in our society who has got destroyed. Our maids who used to work in our houses have got destroyed. The migrant laborers have got destroyed. Huge number of people have gone below poverty line. Large number of teachers have lost their job. I have a list of at least 10 different teachers whom I know that desperately begging me to find them a job. You can always find a job. There is no way you cannot find yourself a job, and you could be self-employed also. I'm 80 now and I'm working full time, and there is no way that I will ever be out of the job. And I am sure that if I am 85, I will still have a job, although many people don't have it. So we need to really teach our youngsters, our colleagues who are losing jobs, how they can remain relevant, how they can be self-employed, how they could still learn, and give them the wherewithal, give them the method. We have to bring up our economy, otherwise the children will not be in the school, the students will not be able to afford colleges, and the teachers will not get their salary and will go out of the limbo. So this is again something we need to innovate in the area of education. I'm concentrating on education more because this is an educational organization and we need to work for it. There is another major area, and then I will stop because I think I have to stop at 15 minutes only. So we need to really see that which are our sectors which are hit, and we need to innovate. Like there have been countries and areas like in Canada, in Germany and others, where they have created a bubble. And while you are traveling in this bubble, you can do almost anything which you wanted with certain amount of precaution. So we need to see that whether we could create this bubble. Chandigarh is one of the very planned cities. Could we create a bubble in Chandigarh and adjoining area, the Tri-City, so that in this area, education, the healthcare, other activities, commerce, they all thrive, and we could carry them out. People have done it. We need to really study South Korea, Singapore, Taiwan, and these models, they have not been affected at all. Their economies are growing and booming. Even a country like Dubai is booming. So how have they done it? Why they are booming and why we are in this kind of system? And one of the things which we need to see that that we have a few problems in our country and we need to solve them. One of the problems is the huge disparity in the society. We have 330 million people who can afford anything anywhere in the world. While we have about 900 million people who don't have anything. They are poor and they are being pushed below the poverty line every day. And with the COVID, they don't have a home, they don't have a house, they are losing everything, whatever they have, and they are on the street. So we can't afford to do that. We need to find through science, innovative methods that will alleviate poverty in our country. Not only poverty, physical poverty, poverty of mind, which is essentially in all of us who have joined this particular forum, who are not looking beyond ourselves and innovating through science and technology methods in which we can keep them sustained in their activity. I will give you one example and finish that how I did in the Kanpur Dayal and villages. They were spanking the schools. No student was going there. So I asked the students that why don't you go to the school? The students said that teacher marta hai. Then I asked teachers that why don't you go to the school and
सर थोड़ा साउंड ऊंचा कर दीजिए, थोड़ा साउंड ऊंचा कर दीजिए, सुनना मत नहीं है.
am I not audible? ये साउंड क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? Hello, so Dr. Sopti, can you hear me? Hello?
Now we can.
You can hear me. Okay. So I was saying that through the science and technology, we need to, as I was saying that in the Kanpur era, when I asked the father said that look, this child has passed class 12. ये हल भी नहीं चलाता, ये बीड़ी फूकता है, बैठा रहता है, किसी काम का नहीं, निकम्मा हो गया, इसे पढ़ाता है, तो क्यों मैं पढ़ाऊं अपने बच्चों को? So they had no motivation on teaching their children, and there was no light in the school. Fans were not moving because there was no electricity. So I found an innovation there. What I found that there were large number of old cows or cattle there. They didn't want to send them in a sacks or slaughter. So I created a shed there. In the shed, these cows, their black dung was used to create gobar gas plant. Gobar gas plant was given by the government scheme. So all the schools the kitchens got a gas connection, so biomass fuel problem was solved. The fans light, as well as there was a light in the school, and we taught them organic farming. So with the affluent, they did organic farming, their income increased, and they also created chara for their cattle, and the cattle ate that. And we made the students go. What did we do? The girls were not going. There was one girl who had passed high school. So I created a contraption with the used batteries so she could light a bulb in her house. So what I did, we bought a, this is many years back, and that time this was not there. We bought her a cycle. We also gave her some gifts. We gave her books and other material so that she could really go to school. And when the college, so when everyone, all the other girls saw that she is going to college and she is enjoying her ride there, all of them joined the school. And this is the way you make the community listen to you. If the communities don't see any profit with them, and you need to communicate. I used to work in the Raipur Rani area on rheumatic hernia. I thought that I have done a great work. So once the village elders, when they had gone and villagers were there, I asked them that, are you happy now that we have done so much work for you? They said, no, you see, our problem is tuberculosis. So since we didn't communicate with them, we didn't know their problem. And today, have we solved it? The children, they get one meal when they go to the school. From the ICSD, from where the children get the meal, there is a scheme in which the mothers also get meal. Everything has collapsed. Have we gone out of our textbook to see that during this COVID era, this is the issue, this is the problem, and solve it? So we have much to do actually. Every one of us can do it. Anything. Department of Biotechnology would work on the, like we are very proud that India worked out the CRISPR-Cas diagnostic system, which is very quick and very cheap. We are very proud that 2 Indian companies are making monoclonal antibody mixes. One is from the university system, which the region on and Eli Lilly has done in the United States. We are very proud that there are 4 vaccine candidates which are developing in our country, including messenger RNA from Genova. We are very proud that these masks and these PPEs have come up. We have also created our own method of management of the COVID-19 patients. We have done a lot, and Department of Biotechnology, University System and others could do a lot. However, we need to harness what we want to do. We need to prioritize, and we need to take communities and those who are suffering along with us. If we don't suffer their pain, if we don't walk with them, if we see that some of our students in GGDSD institute can't pay their fee and they drop out of school, it is a huge tragedy. I don't know how to do this. Once I wanted to open a school for orphans and to the SOS, and somebody told me that for each child there were 200 child which I had to take care. Somebody told me that you get 500 rupees per child per month by being open. So I went around and all the people, the 200 people to whom I went, they wrote a check and nobody asked me a question. So this could be done. I will end by saying that in the university structure, in the teaching structure, one of our main job will be, apart from doing innovate, do research, create, teach people appropriately, see that every student is taken care of. Every student should get a meal. Every student should be able to get their teaching material. And no student who is bright should lose an opportunity to teach and somebody throws them out because they have not been able to pay their fee. We have to work differently. We have to work with empathy. We have to work with compassion because this is the reason why we will have. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I will be thankful to Dr. Chandigarh and the media team, the community for providing me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. Dr.
Dr. Sopti, you have to unmute yourself. You have to unmute. You are muted, Dr. Sopti.
Sir, kindly unmute yourself.
Yeah. Dakshar, thank you very much for your such a one minute. For your such a nice interaction and giving us a total overview, which nobody else could have done that way. Started giving about the importance of mask and other things, and then coming up to the vaccine. I mean, this was a wonderful thing you have done to educate all of us about this COVID-19 and how to save ourselves, how to save the society. You have just given a गागर में सागर की वाली बात की आपने, and it's only you can do it. Nobody else can do like that. Because we know that you are always updated with every information. But I feel really obliged on behalf of Dr. Prad Sharma ji and other organizers and all your own forum which we are going to launch. And we are so thankful to you, obliged to you, and I know you will keep on blessing us all the time, and also accept our chief patronship of this very forum. Once again, from the core of my heart, I thank you, Raksham, for giving such a wonderful information to us, and which will be very useful for all the participants who are here. Thank you very much, Raksham. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you have just listened to Dr. Ganguly, his such nice word, giving a total overview of COVID-19, what we need to do, not for ourselves, for the society as a whole. Now, society doesn't mean in your surrounding, society in that total globe. Because we are now in a global village, and we must see that whatever we do, it doesn't harm any other country or any place. If we do good for ourselves, it's good for the whole globe. And friends, one thing is certain, that COVID-19, though is the worst known pandemic in the present time, has come with a new hope, new optimism, and has created a plethora of opportunities in all the spheres. It has coerced to necessarily embrace the unexplored realm of practices to combat the hurdles and erupted due to the unprecedented situation that the whole world is grappling with. It has chumped out the real hidden treasure of potential in us. Every nation is trying to convert the challenges into opportunity. The spirit of compelled optimism without a choice spurred a series of reflections to enable a new consciousness to arise from the time, and as a society, we could mobilize much more. There have been serious attempts to renew the economy, build a new health system, governance, education, by adopting well-suited strategies, by letting the world going as what we call a new world, in the new norm, a new normal. That is what is required. As Kurt Hans said, choice is unwise. There is a much more in us. You have to do everything you can. You have to work hardest, and if you do, if you stay positive, you have a shot at a silver lining. Friends, I know that our youth is doing a wonderful job in innovation, making innovations in all these spheres, and our frontline workers, such as even the doctors, paramedical staff, in the teachers. Yesterday I was seeing on WhatsApp that a teacher was teaching on a laptop. And the students sent some parcel with in between lectures. She went to receive that parcel, and that parcel was for McDonald's. And she was surprised. When she opened it, she read that letter. It was a thank you to the teacher by the students that you are an old timer working on laptop for us and educating us. We are thankful to you. Sir, we are people like that. I never knew how to use this laptop such a way, and this all website, cards, etc. But the situation has made us to learn and even to do our own job for that way. Now, this is a COVID-19, though it's a pandemic, it has harmed us, but it has made us to do new things and think more so that in what way we can survive, our future generation can survive, and this globe, this nature can bounce back in a positive way, because it is a negative at the moment. It has to bounce back in a positive way for the society. So thank you very much, and I'm sure this the speakers over here, we have resource person from PGI, from Allahabad, from Prayagraj, and from Kumaon University. Dr. We will start with Dr. Vikas Story, who is from Department of Community Medicine from PGI, and he is doing wonderful job. And because you know that you who knows better about PGI than me, than you, and you know much better about PGI. And the Department of Community Medicine has done a wonderful job in this educating people and devising ways how to prevent and how the transmission takes place, how to prevent it. And Dr. Vikas Suri, who is one of the pioneer workers in that department, is here with us, and is very kind to accept our invitation to educate us what are the modes of transmission and how it can be prevented. What precautions? You have already started with different things, what you, Dr. Gangli has already told us, and he's going to elaborate in his lecture in the next 25 to 30 minutes. I invite Dr. Vikas Suri to please tell us about the transmission and prevention of this disease. Yeah. Dr. Suri, please.
Well, good morning, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are.
Well, if you see the 2020, two words which have been with the most common, am I audible? And now, are my slides visible? This would be the most important, I would say, so are my slides visible?
Yes, sir, your slides are visible. But sir, इसको हाँ बस ठीक है हाँ जी sir.
Thank you very much. A small correction. My department is a Department of Internal Medicine from PGI. I am putting in for Professor Lakshmi, who is a professor in epidemiology at the Department of Community Medicine at PGI. She had requested, because she had an exam today, she had requested me to take this small talk. After hearing Professor Ganguly, I think so I can finish my talk in 5 minutes, because he has summarized COVID-19, as you call the present pandemic name, in such a beautiful way in the past 25 minutes, that I think so all the subsequent lectures are probably more or less the same. So I'll start with what is a pandemic, because this audience is a mixture of all learned people, all greats in their own field in Punjab University, and also includes students. So I thought I'll start from basic. What's the pandemic? Well, a pandemic is secondary to a disease which affects large number of people within a community, population, or a region. It is usually spread over multiple countries or continents. There were various pandemics in the past. One of the first few were somewhere in 541 to 542 AD, and the plague of Justinian. It spread across Europe, Asia, North Africa, and Arabia. An estimated 30 to 50 million people, and half the world population killed at that time. Then came the pandemic of Black Death. It claimed it's estimated to claim about 200 million lives. From this pandemic, the word quarantine came into the world came to know about the word quarantine, as the sailors were quarantined for 40 days after they had the infection. So the Great Plague of London, estimated about 1,300,000 people, including 15% of the population of London, had died. And then the third plague, somewhere in 1855, an estimated 10 million people died. And then in the Spanish flu in 1918, it killed about 2,200 to about 100 million people. It is influenza. And lastly, we had the swine flu pandemic in 2019. It was a short period for about 3 months where the WHO had declared the swine flu pandemic. So now what the SARS-CoV pandemic has caused? Well, a lot of deaths, but it has caused an infodemic. If you see PubMed or any of Google search, there are about 60,000 papers on COVID at this moment, and more are published every day. And secondly, it has led to panic. I was part of the PGI task force for the 2019 management for swine flu pandemic. At that time, there was no WhatsApp, so we could manage people without the panic in the population. But because there's a constant, we can see what is happening anywhere with social media, and this is, I think, so has led to a little bit of panic in the population also. But what is the solution? We have to have reliable sources of information, and as responsible citizens, we should follow the guidelines issued by government from time to time. And I think so the government has done a pretty good job this time and has given us the structured way how to open up, to close the country, and then to open up both academically and medically and non-medically. So what is SARS-CoV-2? It is a new name given to this virus. They are viruses which generally lead to upper respiratory infections, that is infection of noses, sinuses, or upper throat. They have been associated with disease in the past, that is the SARS and the MERS, that is the Middle East. They have been, if you search literature, they have been present in animals, with literature going back to as early as 2002, and the MERS epidemic is related to is linked to camels in Saudi Arabia in 2012. Well, a spillover event is when the virus circulated in animal species is transmitted to humans. And if you see the timeline of this COVID-19 epidemic, as we all know, it is December, middle December, when the first case in the Wuhan seafood market, probably some say it is a biological weapon, but the first case was reported somewhere in the middle of December. There have been some reports that this was way behind before that also, but in literature, we still stick that middle of December, the first case was reported. India was notified by WHO in the early part of January. The first death in the world was reported on 12th January from Wuhan. India first confirmed case was declared on 30th January, and after that multiple timelines. I was trying to search, and if I would have made a timeline of SARS-CoV-2 by now, I think so the next 20 slides would be the various timeline. Various drugs have come, various things have come, various things have gone, and the latest is the vaccine, which I think so my subsequent speaker would be talking about the vaccine and the various treatment modalities. I'll be mentioning the term COVID-19, which WHO has said that the CO is the SARS-CoV. Virus is the VI stands for virus, and D for disease, and 19 is the year of discovery. So I'll be mentioning COVID-19. It's same as it is the clinical spectrum of the virus of which is caused by SARS-CoV, that is COVID-19. Present situation. This is the WHO dashboard yesterday night. Close to about 15 lakh deaths by now and 6 crore cases by now. This is the Government of India dashboard yesterday night. About 4 lakh active cases, deaths, about 14 lakh deaths till now. This is the Chandigarh dashboard, Chandigarh administration's dashboard yesterday night. About 18,000 confirmed cases, 16,000, close to about 17,000 recovered cases. We have reported Chandigarh deaths, about 290 deaths till now. So coming to my main topic, that is SARS-CoV transmission. Sorry about the spelling mistakes. So before we come to the main how they are transmitted, let us see what are droplets. Droplets which are more than 5 to 10 micrometers are known as respiratory droplets, but which are diameter less than 5 microns are known as droplets or aerosols. And transmission can occur through direct, indirect, close contact whenever we are and these droplets are generated when we are sneezing, coughing, singing, or even shouting also. Respiratory droplet transmission, the person is in close contact. This is a concept of 1 meter or 6 feet, because this is a time that if we cup, this is the maximum distance which our cup droplets can go. And indirect contact transmission is that, for example, if the droplets fall off a surface, that surface is contaminated, and a person who, for example, touches that surfaces and touches his or her nose or face, then this can be transmitted, and this is known as the fomite transmission. The SARS-CoV virus can be detected by RT-PCR or on surfaces ranging from hours to days. And whenever one touches these contaminated surfaces, followed by touching of his or her mouth, eye, or nose, this can be transmitted. But this is, which was published in one of the public health journals, and it's shown that it can persist for as low as 2.2 to 8 hours on aluminium, to 3 hours to 5 days on paper. This is a publication from NAGM. The virus is more stable on plastic and stainless steel than on copper and cardboard, but the viability, whether this persistence is equal to viability, studies have not been able to prove till now. So the main mode of spread for the SARS-CoV virus is through droplets, either direct when you sneeze, or indirect, that is by fomite transmission. This is a video by the WHO, which tells you how this is spread. So it's spread from surface. Are you able to hear the audio of the video?
No, sir.
So these droplets are basically, when your person sneezes, this is the maximum distance that the droplets can travel. So that is the concept of social distance, to maintain a distance for at least 1 meter or 6 feet from each other. Other modes of transmission, that is airborne transmission. Airborne transmission is the classical is tuberculosis, in which the droplets, the aerosols, are persistent in the air. Studies have some reports of persistence of the SARS-CoV virus in the air, but whether this was effective or not, no study has been proved till now. Has proved it. So as on date, we can say that the airborne transmission of SARS-CoV virus has not been demonstrated. Low titers have been demonstrated in the urine, feces, plasma, serum. But again, whether they are infective or not, no study has proved till now. Because studies have shown that the virus can persist in feces for up to 6 weeks, but no case report of infection because of the stools of recovered patients has been proved till now. There have been 1 or 2 case reports of intrauterine transmission. There are some case reports of persistence of the detection of the SARS-CoV virus by RT-PCR in breast milk. But again, WHO says that it is not a viable virus. So WHO still recommends breastfeeding to continue as normal in patients. There is a concept of intermediate course, that is animals being infected by the SARS-CoV and subsequent humans being infected. There are 1 or 2 case reports of animals like dogs or cats being positive by RT-PCR, but whether they can transmit to humans is a question of debate. So accreditation. So what are clinical implications of transmission kinetics? Well, I try to, I think the 4 questions come to my mind. If I get infected, would I get a severe disease? Do all patients get severe infection? So what are my chances, for example, if I'm exposed to a symptomatic patient, I get a gut infection, or vice versa, if my colleague is asymptomatic and he got just himself tested, him or herself tested, what are the chances of my getting infection from an asymptomatic? And lastly, how do I prevent getting a COVID-19 infection? So these were the common questions which I think so came to my mind when I was making this presentation. So coming to severity of disease, 80%, I would say 90% have mild to asymptomatic infections. 1 in 5 people require hospitalization, and only out of 7 to 10% develop serious disease and may die. And the death rate in our hospital is close to about 3 to 4% of the total patients which have been admitted. There is a concept of at-risk population for severe disease, and it is said that elderly people, obese people, people who have cardiovascular disease, diabetes, or who have an immunocompromised state, like have a chronic renal disease, hepatic disease, or an active malignancy, are more predisposed to a severe disease, and they should be more careful if they are exposed to a person who is COVID-19 positive. So the third question which comes to my mind is that when do people, what are the chances of my getting infected if I've been exposed to a symptomatic patient? Well, in a study from Republic of Korea, showed that 9 of the 13 secondary cases occurred among household cases. So my chance of getting infection is close to about 50. There's a concept of R naught, that is, if I am infected, how many people I can infect, and R naught of about 0.8, 0.6 to 0.7 has been observed in SARS-CoV. Outside household, that is, the transmission increases if there is close physical contact, if you share meals. That is why it is said that please, if you are eating in your workplace, try to maintain a social distance. And if you are enclosed with a symptomatic person for close to approximately more than an hour, then your chances of getting infection are high. Come to asymptomatic patients, definitely they are less likely to transmit viruses than those who are symptomatic. There is a concept of asymptomatic transmission. This is a cohort of patients who are asymptomatic at the time of testing, but subsequently they develop symptoms. The second cohort is a pre-symptomatic transmission, that is, the virus is in the incubation period, so they are asymptomatic when you have tested, but they may develop symptoms within the next 14 days after exposure to a symptomatic patient. Coming to what should I do in preventing getting to COVID-19 infection? Well, 4 important things. Use a face mask. Professor Ganguly has told you about the various innovations the government of India, his department has been able to do in developing a mask. Maintain a respectable distance, social distancing. Our Prime Minister has been reiterating both these points day in and out in various his speeches. Hand hygiene and follow the rules of quarantine and isolation. चलता है वाला system नहीं चलेगा. If you have a upper respiratory tract infection, the first golden rule is isolate yourself rather than going to work and exposing other people. That is, if my lecture can give this message to everybody, if you have an upper respiratory tract infection, please do not go to your work because you will be exposing other people. So when should you wash your hands? Should be basically at every time. Should be before eating, if your hands are visibly dirty, when you are handling, if after every handshake, after every coughing and sneezing, and especially when caring for the sick. So this is a pictorial representation of when to do hand hygiene, especially in the hospital setting. We can wash our hands with soap and water, and the correct time is about 30 to 40 seconds. If you're using a hand sanitizer, at least ensure that at least 70% more alcohol should be present in the hand sanitizer to be effective to kill the SARS-CoV virus. So these are the various steps. First, pour the sanitizer or the soap and water. First, rub your palms, then the dorsum of the hand, then the fingers. I'll be showing a video of that also. Then the opposing palms, then the thumb, then the middle of the hand, and the last step is the dorsum. This is a small video courtesy Dr. Kapil from the virology, which is about the how to wash your hands. So, is the audio visible? Can you hear the audio?
No, sir.
If
There is
not,
no audio.
so first wash your hands with. There are 6 tips for hand wash. First, there is Komal G, that is now the dorsum, ulta, मुट्ठी, A से अंगूठा, N से नाखून with the middle of the hand, K से कलाई, that is the wrist. So the synonym is सुमन के, सीधा, उल्टा, मुट्ठी, अंगूठा, कलाई. The second important thing to prevent is masking. These are various ways how not to wear a mask. The common thing is if you go to the market now, either the Tribune was carrying a picture for Sukhna Lake today on people carrying a mask in their hands or mask which is hanging down the mouth. So this is not the correct way to wear a mask. Especially you are going to crowded or public places, please wear a mask. Please wear a mask, which is very important. But again, I reiterate, masks are only effective when used in combination with effective hand hygiene, that is either washing with a hand sanitizer or soap and water. So before putting a mask, there are various ways how to put on a mask. Clean your hands with alcohol-based hand rub or water. Cover your mouth and nose with a mask. The nose should be covered. That will make it sure that, and you have to make it sure that there are no gaps between the finger and the mask. In our hospital, we do a fit test. If we blow our with a mask on, we blow. If our spectacles get fogged, this shows that there is a gap. Do not let the mask hanging from the neck. Change the mask ideally after 6 hours or at least once a day, and no mask has to be reused and should be disposed of. Avoid touching the mask while using it. Replace the mask with a new one as soon as possible. There are specific ways to remove a mask. Do not touch the front of the mask when you are removing the mask because that is contaminated, and discard it immediately. Disposable is equally important. Community, we can do it by burial or by burning, and in home we can disinfect either using a bleach solution or a sodium hypochlorite solution or even a hand sanitizer also. This is again courtesy Dr. Kapil, a very how to wear and to take off the mask. This is a triple layer mask. Please wash your hands before putting a mask. So if you are using a mask with the 4 strings, the dark color should be outside and the light color should be inside of this triple layer mask. There is a steel strip at the top the metal piece has to be kept upwards. Put the mask over the nose. First tie the upper string tightly. The string should be above your ears. Then tie the lower string. Mold the metal piece so that there is according to the nose shape, and then tie the string below the ears. Adjust the mask according to your mask and do the fit test if you're wearing a spectacles so that there is no gap. This is the mask should look like when it's snugly fit. So now it is how to take off the mask, which is more important. The front part of the mask, the outside part of the mask is contaminated. First take off the lower string. Do not take off the upper string. Then take off the upper string, do not touch the front of the mask, and then dispose of the mask in a correct way. Again, wash your hands after discarding the mask. So the next question is, that mask type important? Whether various masks, the triple layer mask, the cloth mask, and then the N95 masks. According to the Government of India, N95 masks have to be worn only in a hospital setting, especially if you are generating a procedure which is aerosol generating. So in public, you can wear a triple layer or a cloth mask also. There is no need to wear an N95 in public. The other preventive measures is respiratory hygiene. When coughing or sneezing, cover your face with a flexed elbow or a tissue. Clean your hands and put the tissue in a closed bin immediately. Disposal is equally important. Try not using uncooked food. Avoid close contact with symptomatic patients. Avoid spitting in public places, and sick or dead animals should not be eaten. There are some countries where this is practiced. Again, I would reiterate: avoid touching your eyes with mouth and unwashed hands. You can use Lysol, which is a mixture of Cresol and liquid soap. And household, you can use 1% Lysol. You can at least put 1 Lysol in 49 liters, and then you can clean the house. Summarizing, I would say hand hygiene, masking, respiratory hygiene are the mainstay of prevention of COVID-19. And lastly, early medical care for fever, cough, and difficult breathing. Do not wait at home, and go to the nearest health center immediately. COVID management PGI is a teamwork by various departments. We have a dedicated COVID hospital and a COVID negative hospital. These are the various posters which have been devised by our Department of Community Medicine. In the last, I would say, I would again show a video, which is a cartoon video telling you the various forms of how to prevent COVID-19. I will not be speaking in this. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for a patient hearing.
Professor Sopti, sir, your mic is switched off. Kindly switch it on, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Suri, for giving a wonderful talk. And you have given all the things to us about how to prevent the transmission, say. And I will refer over here. We have heard about the MDH masale. Okay. But here the MDH also comes with mask, distance, and hand washing. So the MDH is very relevant over here. And you have educated us, because Dr. Ganguly started with this, with a different type of mask and importance of mask. And you have shown that how to wear that one through videos. It's a continuous of Dr. Ganguly's message, which is given. Because I know Dr. Ganguly, when he starts in a wonderful way. and he predicts that what is going to be talked in the next lectures. It's a great test of Dr. Ganguly that you have followed him. And see, now the mask has become a sort of a fashion. People are just wearing on the neck, keeping on neck or on the mouth, but they keep the nose out of that one. And they don't know what the important, but you have shown. And again, the untying of the mask. This is a wonderful thing. You have shown that we have to untie for the lower one, then the upper one, then to this way. And we have never bothered, even we have not bothered that way, that how to untie. We wear it. But see, this is a thank you very much for educating us. It's for sparing time on behalf of
Thank you, sir. My
Dr.
privilege, sir.
Sharma, the president, and our launched this forum. I would request you to become an active member of the same. Thank you very
It's a
much.
privilege, sir. Thank you, sir.
Just 1 minute. 1 minute. We have next with us a very renowned and professional person with us, Dr. Jain from Trishla Foundation. She's a trained public health expert, got her degrees from public health, and then processed that one, worked as a teacher and a practitioner in the public health. And from there, she joined the Trishla Foundation, which is the non-profit organization, work for the people, providing all kind of medical and rehabilitation through advanced rehabilitation facilities to the children. And nowadays, she's working now on a lot on the COVID-19, and she's going to educate us about the pathogenesis and all those things of this. And Dr. Trishla is very, very busy, but I'm thankful to Dr. Malhotra, who has roped her in, who has introduced her to us, because Dr. Malhotra is a mind of the ideas and mind of the people directly with him, because he is much famous and he knows who does best for that purpose. Thank you, Dr. Malhotra. Thank you, Dr. Jain, for sparing time to us and educating us. Thank you very much.
No, sir, it's my pleasure, sir. Dr. Malhotra is also very senior to us, and he is teacher to us, and a very good guide to us for so many years. For so many things, we have been taking his advice whenever we are stuck in any situation. And I must also thank you to you, sir, to provide me this opportunity. And I am very much obliged to hear and to be a part of a forum in which persons like Professor Ganguly is there, and you are there, Dr. Sandeep Malhotra himself is there, and so many august persons are there in this forum. I will try to do justice as much as I can in the topic. So I think without wasting much time, I start. So is my slide visible, sir, to everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, sir. So the topic of my today's presentation is pathogenesis and clinical implications of COVID-19. Much of the things have been explained earlier in the introductory part, like why we call it COVID. So it is from corona, and why from virus and disease, so it becomes COVID. And since it started in 2019, so COVID-19, so nothing very technical in this. The virus causing is the SARS-CoV-2. The SARS stands for severe acute respiratory syndrome, which we need to understand, because this is the major clinical presentation which is caused by this virus. And as I think most of us are knowing, it is RNA virus, from the coronavirus family. So it is not the only coronavirus. So many coronaviruses are there, and this is one new of them. Because of that, many people are calling it novel coronavirus also. A specific feature of this virus is that it uses human ACE2 receptors. These receptors, that is the angiotensin converting enzyme 2 receptors. And this virus has very high affinity to these receptors. So definitely now we come to that the COVID-19 is a viral infection caused by SARS-2, and the major thing which it causes is the severe acute respiratory syndrome, which is a combination of pneumonia and acute respiratory distress syndrome. Pneumonia is nothing but the severe lungs infection. So modes of transmission have been already discussed very beautifully by Dr. Suri. Direct and indirect contact, basically coughing. I am not giving much of the time on this. So we are coming to the pathogenesis. Now, before we see what is going on, one thing is very much clear that since the disease is very recent kind, so the researches are going on, and so many papers are also there. So we cannot say that everything is very well established unless the pandemic is over, the things are controlled, and it will take probably a few years before everything is established clearly. But I will try to tell whatever I have found in the papers and other WHO or other sites. So since it is a mixed group, one thing I want to explain that like we have smallest unit cell, everyone knows, I think, from biology background. Likewise, in the lungs, the smallest unit which is used for the respiration are called alveoli. And these alveoli have two type of cells, that is type 1 and type 2. And these ACE2 receptors which we are talking are more abundant in type 2 cells of the alveoli. And this SARS-CoV-2 has high affinity for these ACE2 receptors. Now, what happens when SARS-CoV-2 enters human respiratory system? Again, I must say this staging is not very much established, but by the experience and by going through few papers, what I have come up is this. We can say the stage 1 is when the inhaled virus multiply in upper respiratory tract, and symptoms may appear 2 to 14 days. That is the range, and average time is 5 days. Probably that is why the 14 days isolation and quarantine is very, very important because if anything is there, if a person is infected, it will come before 14 days. So at least 14 days isolation is very, very important if a person has a contact with some high risk person or something else. Now, initially the persons may be asymptomatic or may be having mild symptoms. As Dr. Suri told, about 80% of them are either asymptomatic or may be having mild atypical type of the symptom like any other viral illness. Here, fever, chills, cough, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, fatigueness also is frequently a complaint, muscles and body ache. All these are of course common in other viral illnesses also, but at the time of corona we must be aware, we must be alerted if these symptoms are there. Along with that, one specific symptom, although this is also not very specific to SARS-CoV-2, but very frequently it is found that there is loss of taste or smell also may be there. So if all these symptoms are there, we must be alerted, or 1 or 2 symptoms are also there, we must be alerted and we must take action, and immediately we must isolate ourselves. Then after that, the disease reaches to the lower respiratory tract, that is the lungs, bronchiole and all the lower respiratory tract structures. At that time, when the lungs are affected, there is moderate hypoxemia, means there is low oxygen, there is difficulty in breathing, breathlessness is there, fever is there at that time, and maybe usually very high fever, mild also may be there. with severe dyspnea means shortness of breath or breathlessness. Respiratory frequency means respiratory rate may increase more than 30 minutes. And SpO2 means the oxygen saturation may become less than 93%. Usually 98 to 99% normal oxygenated person it is there. So when all these things are there, and along with that, on X-ray or CT scan, there are ground glass appearances. I will tell a little bit about that also. So it means that the disease have, the person have entered into a little more severe stage. Now the third stage or the critical disease stage, what happens then? Infection goes more and the things start become complicated. Protein alveoli are filled with proteins. There is some pathogenesis, means inflammatory mediators, they are released, too much cytokine storm as we have seen. Now they have started a chain sort of thing, and there is disintegration also. So these things are start. The second thing what happens, there is a thrombotic state in the body, means thrombosis, which we call as the thrombus there, blood clot sort of thing is there inside the veins of the or blood vessels of the body. So that is a very high risk state. It may start in the pulmonary arteries or veins, and then it can go through the other organs of the body. And when these type of the things come, then there are severe symptoms, respiratory failure, maybe there, septic shock, multiple organ dysfunctions, and lastly, if not controlled and not treated, maybe multi-organ failure also may be there. Common complications among hospitalized patients are pneumonia, acute respiratory distress syndrome, means there is difficulty in breathing because of the various pathology in the lungs are not able to expand and relax as usual and not able to oxygenate the blood as usual. That is the and that is in acute form. So that is acute respiratory distress syndrome. There may be in some cases acute liver injury, cardiac injury, and prothrombic coagulopathy resulting in venous and arterial thromboembolic event that becomes really serious. Acute kidney injury may be there. Acute cerebrovascular, means every organ supplied by the blood supply, wherever these thrombus and embolic events are there, may be affected. Shock condition may be there. So why it happens? Like as we have already seen, there are ACE2 receptors in the alveolar cell type 2. So there is a spike surface glycoprotein of the virus which binds to these receptors. And once it binds to these receptors, the virion releases RNA into the cell. That is the specific feature as most of us knowing of the viruses. And then when the RNAs, they start replicating and start multiplying and release more and more of the viruses into the lungs space and alveoli, and they again start infecting other cells. So SARS-CoV-2 produces several virulent factors also that promote shedding of new virions from host cells and inhibit immune response also in the later stage. So then the things becomes complicated when the immune response start becoming suppressed and the inflammatory mediators, they start dominating the things. There is a thing that everyone knows probably, that children are little lesser. We cannot say they are not at risk, but lesser at risk because these ACE2 enzymes receptors, these are lesser in the children. So that is why they are at lesser risk, but that does not mean that they are not at risk, and that does not mean that they must not take the precaution. They must take all the precaution as others are taking. This is, I have tried to simplify the things. What happens actually here, this is the alveoli. that is 1 unit of the lung, and the around this red color is the blood vessel surrounding this alveoli, where all the oxygen exchange is going on. Here this virus enters, and ACE2 receptors in the type 2 cell, they have infected. Now they have multiplied, released, and they have then infected macrophages of the alveolar macrophages, and these are releasing cytokines, interleukins, and tumor necrotic factors. These all are released. Usually these are normal process in the inflammatory reactions, but here what happens, it is very much high in the case of SARS-CoV-2 because it has very high virulency. That is why we are so much worried about this. And then inside the blood, all the cells are activated, inflammatory cells are activated. And then when these cells are released in abundant quantity, what happens? There is damage to the endothelial cells. And also there is like this breakage of the alveolar and this vascular epithelium. There is release of lot of fluid, collection of the fluid between the interstitial space, and later on what happens, damage to the type 1, type 2 pneumoni, and this leads to the alveolar collapse, and in the last stages this leads to the fibrinosis of these things and collapse of the lung. So many things are occurring which leads to the problem in the lung. Maybe it is more visible and colorful in this picture. The same thing, this is the early stage and this is the late stage, and here we can see these mediators are released, and here this hyaline membrane formation is there, and these things are leading to the fibrosis, and there is disintegration of the epithelial space. And you can see, compare from here and here, lot of fluid collection is there, and these things are actually creating the problem in the lungs. So because of all these things, what happens, this COVID-19 causes diffuse alveolar damage, and these alveoli, when these are damaged, of course there will be problem in breathing, and ARDS is there, which is characterized by damage to the alveolar capillary endothelium and type 2 pneumocytes. So here what happens, there is alveolar septal edema, as we have seen, formation of hyaline membrane, accumulation of the different mediators of inflammation. Actually, here I think most of us are knowing this inflammation is nature's process, nature's way of protecting us. So these inflammatory mediators, usually they are for our protection, but when they are released in too much of the quantity and there is no checking, there is a mechanism of checking also, then they are not only causing the destruction of the organism, more than many times they start destructing their own cells. So that is the point which causes the problem. And then what happens, there is precipitation of fibrin inside and outside alveolar capillaries. Fibrosis is there, lung fibrosis is there. Then in the later stages, there is pulmonary thrombotic microangiopathy, as also I have told earlier that thrombus formation is there, that often results in fibrin platelet thrombi in alveolar capillaries and small pulmonary arteries. So what initially we thought when the disease started, that this disease is affecting only the lungs, but now we know that later stages it involves multiple organ system, and that is the point which causes fatal outcomes. The underlying pathology appears to be involvement of the vascular endothelium of multiple organs. So now we come to the diagnosis, a quick view of that. There may be asymptomatic or symptomatic, but if there is little bit any alertness, or if there is a history of contact, the government, according to the government recommendations, we must go for the diagnosis. Investigation basically involves lab investigations and radiological tests. So there are two kinds of lab tests which are there for the COVID-19. One is the viral test and antibody test. Viral test simply means we are testing the antigens and then we are testing the antibodies. And specimens we can take, especially for the viral test, are from the respiratory tracts. We can take nasopharyngeal swab and oropharyngeal swab. We can also, for the later stages, in some stages, we can take bronchoalveolar lavage from the lower respiratory tract. Basically, sputum is asked, but that is very high risk procedure because it releases too much of the aerosol, which is infective. So that is done only when it is highly recommended in the emergency conditions with full precautions. Of course, all the tests must be done with full aseptic precautions and PPE kits on. These antigen tests are what is there now for the rapid testing. We see one card is there, so the sample is put into that, and this test gives results very quickly. But that for the test, sensitivity is moderate and specificity, it is said high, which means if the true negative is there, if it is negative, mostly the chances are that it is negative. But if it is positive, we must confirm it with the other confirmatory test, which is RT-PCR, or it is reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction, in which we are actually testing the genetic material of the virus. So that is for the sample is taken from the saliva, and that is also very good and nearly confirmative, but we cannot even now we cannot say it 100%. But if it is supplemented with the sign and symptom, with other symptoms, with antigen test, RT-PCR, it becomes almost 100% confirmed that the person is having this infection. The antibody test is done, it is indicating for the past infection, because antibodies are not made immediately. So they are at least made 1 to 3 weeks after the infection is there. The antibodies start forming, that is IgM and IgG, and for that the blood sample is taken. In the serum, the antibodies are tested for the confirmation. For the radiological test, also a lot of curiosity is there. There is X-ray and CT scan. Although X-ray may be not very much 100% confirmatory, moderate to severe cases are suggestive. CT scan is more sensitive and specific investigation in COVID-19 if lungs are involved, and in once the lungs are involved, CT scan may suggest the findings. There is CT severity score, which specifies severity of lung involvement, and it is of prognostic value, and total score is 25. And there is this actually there is a 5 score, that is there are 5 lobes of lung, and for every lobe 5 is the highest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we add for all the 5, and then it comes to as 25. So if the total score is less than 8, it is mild, 9 to 15 it is moderate, and if it is more than 15, then it is said to be severe disease. So that was a little bit about what happens when we get COVID-19. Regarding the prevention, Dr. Suri has explained it beautifully. I'm not going to take much time on this. There is physical, of course, why we should take physical distance, 6 feet, and mask also he explained very beautifully. And here one more thing may be emphasized again, that wearing mask in the crowded places whenever you are exposed is very, very important. But whenever, or if someone is sick or you are around some sick person, very, very important. But if you are inside your home, then probably there is no need of put on the mask. You can also use 3-layer mask is very important. One single layer mask does not have that much protection, and you can have 3-layer proper fitting fabric mask. Medical mask can be put in the crowded places, and whenever you are in contact with the patients. And if suppose you cannot avoid, there is one more thing, that please open when well ventilated room or well ventilated places are having lesser problems, lesser chances of contacting infection as compared to the closed space. So all these things are very important, and important is that you must do all. It is not that you have put on the mask and you have become very much careless. No, you should practice each and everything, every prevention which is possible. And if you are feeling anything, then what you should do, first and foremost, stay home and self-isolate inside one room, protect your family members also, and contact to the health authority. Please don't fear of contacting them, because they are the ones who will take care better way, who know what to do. And we have seen the cases. They are doing wonderful job in providing and guiding all the health care. So please do that, and seek the medical attention. If you have fever, cough, or any of these symptoms, please don't go then to your offices or anywhere. Please stop going and protect yourself and others, and follow the directions of your local health authority, government authorities. And please, I repeat, as Dr. Suri was telling, that keep up to date on the latest information from the trusted sources only. Like, you can go to the WHO website, or you can follow what the government is saying, because on the social media, a lot of information is just pouring in like anything for these things. But please, before trusting anything, go to the authentic sources, then only believe anything. Don't believe anything which you have heard from here and there. So little bit about the COVID vaccine, which the people are definitely very much eagerly waiting for that. So this vaccine for the COVID is basically made up of either peptide material or nucleic acid material. We are trying to develop this thing. Most of the time, the third phase trial is going on for many of the vaccines. As WHO says, this is the data from the 2nd October, that 42 COVID-19 candidate vaccines are in clinical evaluation, of which 10 are in phase 3 trial, and another 151 candidate vaccines are in preclinical evaluation. Preclinical means animal studies, and there are again 3-4 phases. After phase 3, only the vaccines are ready for inoculation into the general population. And most of the top candidate vaccines are for intramuscular injections. And only few, as I will show in the table, 2 doses, mostly these are 2 doses are given 28 days or roughly 4 weeks apart. Some maybe 1 or 2 are having single dose. We don't know how much. Out of these, this Oxford AstraZeneca, that trial is also going in India. What is the Covaxin in India? Here are the source which I have taken is from the India Today web desk, which is telling that Serum Institute's Covishield and Bharat Biotech's Covaxin coronavirus vaccine could be available for emergency use in India by January 21. And what is the government policy probably will be given to first the vulnerable and frontline workers who are working to the COVID wards and COVID patients and other health workers. And in India, nearly 8 vaccines are on the other stages of trials. Out of these, 3 corona vaccines from India are at different stages. And as our Honorable PM has told that maybe in the next few weeks, a corona vaccine could be ready for India. So let us hope for the best. But unless until we are vaccinated, unless until like it will take probably 1 to 2 years for the things or for us to go normalized. So please, even if the vaccination start, follow all the government instruction and keep on taking all the precautions. So be supportive, careful, alert, and kind, and be ready to fight COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jain, for giving a wonderful talk on details of the pathogenesis, then the prevention and vaccine, etc. It has been a wonderful talk. and you have all explained what is the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and all this one, how the lung epithelium, endothelium, etc. are affected by this. The picture you had made with your hand was self-explanatory, how the virus attacks the different layers of the lung alveoli and those things. Thank you very much for sparing time for us and giving time, especially Dr. Malhotra, for introducing to us Dr. Deen, who is a real scholar and experienced person in this very area of public health. Malhotra ji, thank you very much for this. Friends, in a positive note, we may appreciate the nature for creating the microbe that has revolutionized the macro system, which includes us, biodiversity, and all those, and has sparked our neurons to innovate not only to save ourselves, but the Mother Earth, which was crying for decades due to our lustful activities. We have been exploiting the nature in such a way that it has probably bounced back in creating this very microbe, which has made us to learn the lesson and introspect ourselves how to save the nature, because our ancient philosophy had been to be compatible with nature. That's how our all festivals, rituals had been created, that we have to remain compatible to nature. We have to be friendly with nature. But in the last couple of decades, we have gone away, and nature has come, taught us a lesson. And you know that when the lockdown was there, how the environment changed, how the biodiversity enjoyed that we are inside and diversity was outside. We were in the zoo and they were outside freely. And because of the change in the environment, but as soon as the lockdown has been unlocked, we are going back to old thing. We have an expert over here with us, my friend, Dr. Sandeep Malhotra. He is going to talk to you about how the COVID-19 has affected the environment, or how the environment pollution is going to create more problems in the years to come. As you know, as I told you, Dr. Malhotra is a world-known, internationally known zoologist, and he is working on various aspects. Basically, he's an aquatic biologist, but has worked in various areas and has, in fact, done a lot of studies on the coronavirus, COVID-19, and all those things. And I have been listening to him on various aspects in various webinars for quite some time. And I know that how effective he is. He is a well-known, as I told, well-known zoologist, but environmentalist too, ecologist too. He had been a president of the Society of Parasitology and various others, published a lot many papers, books, and he has students all around. In fact, he asked me, because his students always wait to listen to his lecture, and he says, oh, registration is closed, please get it open. My students are asking me, yes, because they love you, they respect you. And let me tell you, Dr. Malhotra, the person, Dr. Batra, is one of my PhD students who is heading the Department of Biotechnology and organizing this very seminar for us under the presidency of Dr. Upkar Sharma ji. Dr. Malhotra, may I request you to please interact with us and tell us what are your thoughts on this one, the environment pollution and COVID-19. But please restrict to about 25 minutes or so, because Dr. Santosh Kumar is also waiting for us. Okay, Dr. Malhotra, please. Dr. Malhotra, we can't listen. Please unmute. Unmute yourself. No, we can't listen. Unmute, sir.
Sir, kindly increase the volume. I guess mic is unmuted. Hello. No, sir, you're not audible.
We can't hear you. Hello?
सर वॉल्यूम देखिए एक बार इंक्रीज करके.
वॉल्यूम किसका देखिए या थोड़ा टाइम ले लीजिए. कैन वी हैव डॉक्टर संतोष कुमार फर्स्ट? नहीं, आवाज नहीं आ रही.
Yes, sir, I'm ready. If you wish, I can make presentation.
डॉक्टर साहब आप कोशिश करिए, हम संतोष जी का शुरू कर लेते हैं. हेलो, वी कैन लिसन डॉक्टर साहब. हाँ ठीक है.
Okay.
Dr. Santosh Kumar, friends, till Dr. Malhotra gets his sound fixed up, let's listen to Dr. Santosh Kumar, who is, can you do it? Hello?
Yes, I can do it, sir.
Yes, just 1 minute. Malhotra, can you? Hello? We can't listen, Dr. Sir.
No,
Okay.
sir, to whom you
wait
are...
for Dr. to fix up, and in the meanwhile, we listen to Dr. Santosh Kumar ji, who is a world-known geologist working at the Kumaon University. He had been various academies and various associations, and it's one of the top geologists of the country, and working for a long time in the Kumaon University. He's a dean of the university and has held many positions and a board of the management of various central universities. And I request him to tell us about how the COVID-19, and we are going little away from the transmission and pathology. He's going to talk about, because since we are in a higher education institute in the GGDS top college of the country, which is a college with innovation, recognized by UGC and DBT, and that how the higher education institutions have been affected by COVID-19. Dr. Santosh Kumar ji, please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Am I audible, sir? Am I audible, sir?
Anji, we can listen to you.
And also you can see my presentation?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So, first of all, I thank organizer for giving me opportunity to interact with you all. And I feel very honored. Professor N.K. Ganguly, chief guest, and Professor U.K. Sharma, president of GGDSD College, society, and also Dr. N.V. Batra, convener of this webinar, distinguished speakers and participants. My previous speakers, they have spoken about the Dr. Suri transmission, the patterns and of COVID, and Dr. Jain has, has talked about pathogenesis, clinical implications, and prevention of COVID-19. This actually now my presentation is, you see, you people have already experienced about the impact of COVID-19. Since you all are associated with academic, medical health and academic environment institutions, so obviously you might have experienced all those which I am going to talk now. In fact, the lively academic environment is generated by the presence of the teachers and students in the university campuses, and there is a continuous interaction between teacher and students, and learning process. They are involved in learning processes, and the researchers present in the campus, they actually frame the hypothesis, consulting their supervisors or the teachers themselves. They are capable to frame the hypothesis based on their experiences on the different topic of research, and the knowledge gap, and those hypotheses they used to test in the lab by conducting the experiments, and they generate the huge amount of data, analyze them, interpret, and then they publish in Journal of National and International Repute. And very important, in higher education institutions, they used to organize periodically workshops, seminars, symposia, and many training programs for these students, internship programs, and also the faculty development programs. And there is a continuous interaction, discussion on various topics. So in that way, there is a, you see, there is a presence of lively academic environment in the campuses. And because of this pandemic, the COVID-19, this environment is greatly adversely affected, and we have come to a different mode of teaching and learning, and that is the virtual, this online teaching and learning processes are going on during this pandemic period. Higher education institution, in fact, actually, if you see in our country, more than 1,000 universities and institutions are at present, and there are 45,000 degree colleges, and of course these numbers are very less as for the total population of India, that is around 1.24 billion. This is a different issue. I am not going to discuss at present this one. So student population, actually the total 37.4 million. You can imagine it was in 2018-19 session, and we can imagine how many, you see, such a huge number of students are affected due to this pandemic, this arrival of the pandemic COVID-19. Our actually gross enrollment ratio, as released by this data is released by Ministry of Education, Government of India. This was actually earlier, in 2015-16, 24.5, and government set an objective to increase this up to 30 by 2020, but this could not be achieved because of the pandemic. And the arrival of, already my previous speakers, they have spoken a lot about this various aspects, the medical aspect, health aspect of the pandemic, COVID-19. And you see, the first Janta curfew was imposed on 22nd March, and lockdown started from 24th March 2020. My previous speaker, Dr. Suri, has already spoken detailed about the pandemics in the past, and institutions where higher education institutions were also affected, you see, greatly, and after this health and economic sector, the education sector was the third affected this due to the COVID. And actually, what has happened in the past, faculty and students, they actually fled from the campus and did not return until the pandemic completely disappeared completely. And there was a steep drop, or there was no student enrollment for the courses. And this is a pandemic. Actually, it is different from different from natural calamities. As a geologist, I can understand how to deal with this natural calamities. And there is a big body of this national disaster management and authority, and they are working during the time of the natural calamities like flood, earthquake, etc. But the pandemic, actually, it has a different impact on the higher education, you see. And in natural calamities, only in pockets our institutions are affected, and the local bodies and administrations, they used to handle, and solve the problems. And we are actually living in an entirely different environment, and you know that environment is the advanced digital scientific era. So now, you see, in this advanced scientific era, we have a different approach that is entirely different from the past pandemic time. Immediate problem what we faced actually in higher education institutions, there was a need of evacuation of students immediately from the campuses, and our 10+2 students which are actually the feeder to the higher education institutions faced a lot of problem, because some of the examinations were still not over. So they had to, so there was uncertainty for the rescheduling the examinations, and further several competitive examinations like G, NEET, etc. Were postponed, and examination results were delayed, and admission to various courses were also delayed, and new academic calendar was announced by the UGC. And government asked us to start online virtual teaching learning processes for the ongoing semesters. So actually, what has happened during this lockdown and post lockdown period, that black, green, and white board teaching was converted into this online classroom. And in fact, in true sense, we don't have the smart classrooms. If we have the smart classroom, so that can be easier. That would be more useful for the teaching learning process. Teachers and students were not ready for such abrupt, change in the environment or mode of teaching. And already institutions were lacking a lot of ICT, infrastructure, and our teachers were also not very, comfortable with this teaching process, online teaching process. And our students, actually, they come from different economic background, so they were also not having, they were not well equipped, particularly what we have witnessed in this hilly region, remote locality, the very poor internet connectivity. And also the students were not having this Android telephone, laptops, and they actually shared the laptops with other students in most of the cases. And poor students were not having at all any kind of such facility. And we don't have any, you see, virtual classroom for live lectures. So we were bound to deliver our lecture from from home only. And wherever we were, you see, stuck during this pandemic time. And you see, the very low speed of this internet or the poor internet connectivity also badly affected this transmission of the communication, online communication. And you see some unintended outcome of this ICT, that there is lack of supervision and no outdoor games, no field and laboratory works, no educational trips, and students are away from campus experience. And this is very important, particularly for the newly enrolled students, those which are admitted in the current academic session. They are not at all, you see, they are actually missing this campus experience, university campus experience, passing this 10+2 examinations. And our lot of teaching boards are existing in various government and other institutional sites, and they are being you see, utilized by the students themselves, and without the support of teachers, they can use all these different sites. And some of them are very important, that is like what you have this MOOCs and e-Pathshala. And MOOCs has the advantage of having this transfer of the credits, and that can be used for this, that can be scored for if the students are enrolled under, or they are having this the teaching program, course and curricula covered under the CBCS mode, choice-based credit system. Some adverse impact of virtual classes and the lack of physical space, and also there is no extracurricular activities. So spending excessive time on before this computer and electronic devices, and the teachers and students' health are badly impacted, and that is already covered by my previous speakers. I see, and there is a report of psychological ailment and screen addiction, eye problems and stress, obesity, fatigue, and disturbed sleep patterns, etc. And but the main, actually, what has happened, that the objective of the higher education, or getting, you see, getting the knowledge, you see, having this live classroom, you see, classroom learning process, teaching learning process, that was not at all achieved. So in one sense, we can say the decrease in academic achievement. Later on, what has happened, the government allows a university to conduct particularly the final year examination, so that the students can appear or can be eligible to appear in competitive examination or the next higher classes. But what we experienced, that most of the institutions, and particularly I felt in this when I visited some of the places in hilly regions as an observer, what I observed, the most of the SOP prescribed by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare were not followed by the colleges and also some of the university campuses. So and many of the students faced a lot of problems. They were not properly informed, and they got the messages on on their mobile, and they could not get the proper EC. Of course, they themselves access some of the sites, and they got the standard operating procedure, and a few students were also found positive. But anyway, we were able to conduct the examinations for the final year students, and also declared the results. Of course, it is already delayed, but the students got admitted to the next higher classes. Even for also they got registered for the PhD and MPhil degrees. The problem is what has happened that usual pattern of examination evaluation we could not maintain, and you see the online. Is there any problem? Hello.
Anji sir.
Is it all right? I am audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because I am getting, you see, some kind of disturbances. So maybe, may I request participants to mute the microphone, please? Okay. So what has happened, what we felt, you see, online examination evaluation, actually these two components in the higher education system, very important components, greatly suffered. The students were not able to upload the answer sheet well in time. Similarly, teachers took lot of time for evaluating the answer sheets. And you see, and many of the institutions across the country, even you see, they were not ready for the digital and electronic. You see, they were not aware about the or they were not having at all any practice of holding this examination and evaluation online. So the very big problem what the institutions, the higher education institution faced, that moderate to sharp decline in the students' enrollment. And because of the delayed academic session 2020-21 and the psychofear environment of the COVID-19 pandemic, and teachers and students' health were greatly impacted. We have already discussed about this. And there was also, you see, uncertainty for resuming the classes in physical mode, and the type of courses, employability, fee structures, and prevailing economic condition of the parents due to the loss of job or salary reduction also greatly affected this enrollment in students' enrollment in the university campuses. Employment opportunity in government sectors were least affected, but in private sectors almost is not now available. Now it is started gaining slowly, but a few months back it was very uncertain. But still there is a big problem, and many actually you see parents they lost their job. So they were not capable to admit their students to higher education, particularly in the professional courses. And threat and huge economic loss to the private-owned institutions. Some of the institutions are you say private. The institutions are closed, and they could not get the students. They were not able to attract the students. And in fact, what happened? Because of this what you can say the high cost of education, particularly in professional courses, the students did not take the admission in private colleges, and the enrollment was very low, only 30 to 40% of the intake capacity. And many of the institutions were shut down because faculty actually they were not getting the salary, or their salaries were cut down to half or even up to 1/4. What we have the information from our the affiliated colleges, private colleges to our university. Based on that, actually, I'm sharing this experience with you. And conventional courses, but on the other hand, conventional courses have, you see, attracted the students, and particularly in the government colleges. And students, those who were enrolled in overseas universities, they had a, you see, different problem. And what happened? Most of the students actually they were brought back to India under this Vande Bharat mission, and you see, and there was a huge financial loss for those students because they they had taken loan from bank, and they were not able to, you see, repay all those loans. And government has already, you see, has declared certain plan for this loss. Now the question is, whatever we have, you see, we have experienced the ICT growth during this pandemic period, and the use of you see, the electronic use of the electronic media during this pandemic time. So whether this growth is a threat or an opportunity to the human teaching. So there was a big discussion on different forum, and what actually I can conceive, you see, it is almost impossible to replace this human teaching by this exclusively by this ICT, of course. But ICT can play important role or can catalyze the teaching learning process. So absolutely, you see, the ICT cannot motivate, influence, and assess the creativity of a student. So human teaching will remain, you see, unbeaten, and there is no substitute of human teaching. So how can online educator help learner to avoid one-way communication? Because what has happened, it was found that there is always one-way communication from, you see, students are not, you see, participating in discussion, or they are not raising much question. There are number of problems, so, which I am not listing over here. So you see, one can create, you see, regular small assignments. You see, the teacher can create regular small assignments that permit students to work together digitally. Regular contact with different peers will create a great sense of community in a digital environment. In online discussion, you see, one can encourage students to go over, you see, course material in virtual study group, and by discussing course material, learners can clear up points of confusion, demonstrate their learning, and retain information more effectively. Research activities are waning. What has happened during this pandemic time? All of a sudden, the laboratory investigations were shut down. So there was a huge data loss. As a result, there was a huge data loss and a closure of the ongoing experimentation. And you see, the very important that individual and institutional centric research projects could not be submitted in time to the funding agencies. And there was, you see, also the irregularity in the disbursement of the fellowship to the project staff, and number of webinars actually increased, but failed to achieve one-to-one academic discussion, and also the academic exchanges in true sense. And the scientists could not visit to overseas laboratories because of pandemic, and there was a complete, actually you can say, the pandemic led to the ban for this academic exchange programs under various schemes. But the problem, it is very uncertain. No one knows how the campus life of institutions will become to normal. So a large number of students are enrolled to online courses or coaching classes for the next session 2021 entrance test to various courses because of this, actually, the fear. And recently, actually, students, the 10+2 students had discussion with the education minister, and they were asking to declare the date and syllabus of the examination of JEE and the NEET, which is normally held in the month of January every year. And the university and colleges, they have the great, you see, challenges how to regularize the academic session and when to begin the physical mode of teaching and learning. And there are numerous other problems we have yet to face with regard to bringing the campuses to normalcy. So we cannot say that, the next 1 year or even more than that, when our the campuses will have the normal environment of teaching and learning. So thank you for your kind attention.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Santosh Kumar,
Thank
for
you, sir.
intellectually enriched lecture. And we know that the upsurge in the pandemic led to the lockdown of various nations, accompanied by total closure of schools, colleges, and other education institutions. The traditional ways, as you are told, of teaching shifted to exclusive online teaching, forcing teachers as well as students to learn new technologies and teaching learning without physical interaction, which you have elaborately explained. In order to impart quality education to one and all equally, various radio and keeping in tune with the changing times, infrastructure education institutions demands an upgrading, which you have already mentioned, and the importance of artificial intelligence cannot be ignored now. In this regard, although lockdowns are being lifted now in most nations, in India too, the situation is far from normal. And you have explained very nicely how the things are not normal on the campuses. A high dropout rate of students is expected in various countries, though the education institution opening up in a phased manner, but by following strict standard, what we call SOPs, hybrid teaching, both with partial online and partial offline teaching, is expected to be the new mode of teaching, what we call blending mode of teaching. The pandemic is expected to drive, you have mentioned, some of the students of novel courses available overseas due to reluctance of parents to send their wards to far off places in such a situation. And you already mentioned that not only education, but extracurricular activities have also been affected. You know, in a classroom system, the things are different. You develop friendship, interactions, and long-lasting relationships are there. All those are going to be missed by this online teaching. So some sort of blending teaching needs to be there, wherein we have to meet. Let's see when the situation becomes near normal. We don't expect that a vaccine will work so effectively that immediately we will go to the market or the colleges or the campuses, because you have to wait for at least 6 months the effect of the vaccine, how it works or not. But your lecture has elaborately mentioned every aspect of the education system, problems of the teaching, problems of the campus, and the maintenance of the quality education system. It's your innovative ideas. They have enriched us with all these things. I express my gratitude on behalf of the organizers and the principal of the chairman of the institution and the principal that you have done such a wonderful job. Once again, I express my gratitude to you. Now,
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Malhotra is already there. He's waiting.
Am I audible, sir? Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, sure. Now you can.
Thank
Please,
you.
I told you that he is a lover of Mother Nature and how the Mother Nature is being affected, how we can improve it. All those things is going to be talked about by Dr. Malhotra ji, Sandeep K. Malhotra, Professor Emeritus, Department of Zoology, Allahabad University. But he hardly stays in Allahabad. He's so much wanted, whether in Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, I don't know wherever. And I too always expect him to be with us, of course, online. Dr. Malhotra, please tell us what are your thoughts for this thing.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. And,
Good afternoon.
this has been lovely to hear your voice again and again, although so, I begin with my pollution effect perspective, and this is what is being shown: air quality, sustainability, air pollution. All these things are being under influence of COVID. So waste management, wildlife, global migration, these things result if there are something abnormal, some kind of things are happening in the atmosphere. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This is how the difference can be made out. India Gate visible before 17th October 2019, that's a live picture. And after this, when we had slightly improved environment during lockdown. But now today the condition is as poor as it was in the early stages. Next slide, please. So that is what the air pollution has to do. Next slide, please. In this condition of a virus, it has quickly impacted the government and public health systems. And they, in fact, has forced the governments to declare a national and international public health emergency. We have seen so many deaths and so many disturbances in our daily routine life. Given the restrictions in public movement, closed borders, reduced public transport, and they halted non-essential services, shelter in place, the planet has witnessed both the positive and negative effects of COVID. Next slide, please. So coronavirus under lockdown has stopped most of the activities. It has impacted the analysis of field data and final effect on what kind of solar system reflections are available on Earth, monitoring of those things, impact on air quality, impact on water quality, impact on noise ambience. These are certain things which have been affecting us. Next slide, please. And due to those, the organisms have also been under influence. Whatever we do, these are human, you can call them more man-made alterations. When you throw the mask into the water and do not collectively place it at one place, it becomes an environmental issue. Next slide, please. So the SARS-CoV-2 has resulted into reduction in pollution in the lockdown period. Then the vector, how does it spread? Most of the things have been talked about, and self-regeneration plan of nature bounces back so that it has to counter the effect of those things which COVID-19 has created. High pollution and NO2 and CO2 emissions are the very nature of human activities, and let us see now how they behave occurring. Next slide, please. Occurring in future in these circumstances. So the heat stress, cardiovascular failure, this climate change impact on the human health has to occur, because under certain things, the anxiety increases, forced migration, cholera, other diseases, respiratory allergens, malaria, asthma, injuries, fatalities, severe weather conditions, and air pollution. So it is a total mix of circumstances which the human body has to face. And now we are under the condition that after a little bit of improvement during lockdown period, we are facing those kind of difficult periods once again. Next slide, please. So the human health is under direct impact. Next slide, please. And this is the virus which we have seen under electron micrography. And the kind of structures you have, a lot has been said, so better not to repeat it. The RNA virus is this, lipid membrane, membrane protein, envelope protein. Next slide, please. So unexpected consequences that it has induced, COVID-19, is the closure of industries, trade of non-essential items, transport networks, drastic declines in environmental pollution. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So air pollution. This has become an important factor in determining the extent and lethality of COVID-19. You know, it spreads in air in highly polluted areas around the world. Next slide, please. People have tried to evolve certain methods so that the pollution effect could be weighed off. Could you please click twice on this picture? Click twice on this so the video starts after play. Just click twice on the movie. इस मूवी पर 2 बार क्लिक कर दीजिए. ये वीडियो है, नीचे प्ले आ गया होगा. क्यों कर्सर घुमा रहे हैं?
No, sir, it's not working. Yeah,
Okay.
click
Next slide. Don't waste time at this point of time. I knew this. You should have checked it earlier. So this is next slide, please. Hurry up. So the airflow inside the car. That is the modern day difficulty. Inside a car, you have to be very, very careful that these windows closed, particularly during winter period, and air of the occupants as well as the air of the atmosphere being closed from outside. Now this circulates within the atmosphere of car itself, and that is COVID-19 transmission's exaggerability. This kind of thing cannot be stopped if we do not open the window. No, take it back, take this slide back. Yes, please stay on this. If we open one car window, there's a certain amount of air has to be inhaled, and the second window has to be opened if we want to get a fresh atmosphere. So the message is that don't close it down forever, and whenever you are out under the COVID circumstances, keep one or the second window open so that the air can circulate. Next slide, please. Yeah, low temperature, moderate daytime temperature. A lot has been talked about the pollution conditions and the effect on temperature itself, but what has been seen, it has a poly kind of effect. Several attributes are attacking or helping COVID to spread. Humidity, temperature are the most important ones, and we have seen no regularity in low time temperature promoting COVID spread, but wherever the low humidity has supported it, that has increased. We got certain data. Next slide, please. Certain data of our own studies in India, that is in Italy, in Lombardy, and this Emilia. This gradient effect was seen, north-south gradient, on the basis of their hilly terrains and other geological circumstances. This was when the things improved at Rishikesh, at Lakshman Jhula. DO went up to 12. This is our study. And hardness now, after June, July, August, it was 160, 200, and 140. Now, these are the variations which are showing increase in hardness in the post-COVID period. Should I call it post-COVID or whatever we had faced up till now? DO that was up to 12 just after COVID, it is now going down up to 6.5. This is River Ganges at Prayagraj. So you can see the temperature rising, the DO going down, hardness going up. So these are the environmental parameters that are once again occurring and supporting in a way to COVID to spread. Stubble burning has been a point of conjecture. It has been reckoned with the major contributors of air pollution. Next slide, please. Stubble burning has been, next slide, please. Next slide, please. So that is stubble burning that has been reckoned among the major contributors of air pollution. It is significant. You have seen it in South, most of Delhi, also in Haryana and Punjab. It is a significant source of gases, pollutants such as carbon dioxide, CO, NOx, SOx, and methane, as well as particulate matter. Now, particulate, next slide, please. In terms of particulate matter, the next slide, please. this particulate matter has certain parameters. 2.5 is to be on measurement angle, but our virus is 0.1. So whatever the mask has to do, it has to filter it down, and this size has to be kept in mind. Next slide, please. It was reported that burning of 63 metric ton of crop stubble releases 3.4 metric tons of CO and these amounts of other gases into the atmosphere. The situation is more austere in India due to intensive rice wheat rotation system, which generates large amount of stubble. It has estimated about 352 metric ton of stubble is generated each year in India, out of which 22% and 34% are contributed by wheat and rice. So a lot of discussions are going on when they are burnt in the field and the gases disturb in terms of air pollution. Next slide, please. Health effects of air pollution ranges from skin. Next slide, please. Health effects of this pollution from skin and eyes irritation to severe neurological, cardiovascular, and other diseases. It also leads to mortality rates due to prolonged effect. Next slide, please. The Energy and Resources Institute reported that in 2012, the air pollution had led to 5 million deaths. In addition to its effect on air quality, stubble burning also affects soil fertility. So these are the multiple effects. Next slide, please. Multiple effects of this kind of pollution and mixed with the air of which we breathe. Normally, the human beings have to breathe. And when the coronavirus is spreading all around, it has to be mixed up with the gases when we inhale. Next slide, please. Most of the farmers in North India are not aware of the prolific alternatives. So that's what the government are putting their heads together and trying to find out the solution with awareness programs and enlightening the farmers. Next slide, please. How does it correlate with the climate change? Irrespective of the obvious decline in CO2 emission and air pollution owing to lockdowns, which although temporarily may contribute to mitigating climate change, many parallels indeed have to coexist between the challenges in fighting this global climatic change and pandemic. Next slide, please. The mandatory lockdowns have recorded up to a 5-degree reduction in temperature. That's what I said, that 5-degree reduction in temperature than the pre-lockdown periods, indicating that industrial sector is likely responsible for the energy footprints that are dramatically increased the temperature. They can. Since both climate change and pandemic are existential challenges and that the human beings are facing. Now, how do they enter into, next slide please, how do they enter into total atmosphere? When you interact, SARS pandemic can enter into our houses, toilet, and into the sewage. The grey water has to travel below the earth. Then recreation we use, ultimately their last storage potential in aquifers, agriculture. Although it has been said that these aerosols cannot survive beyond 6 hours to 48 hours, but still the possibilities are that these are the places where the virus can survive. Some data with wastewater risk, that when it was stored below the water, below the earth, and correlation with other diseases. But this is our data which we worked on during this period. Total infection versus climatic temperature in Uttarakhand. You can see the variations. Below 34 degrees, it is all fluctuating. But beyond 34 to 41 degrees centigrade, in Uttarakhand, it has got a low infection variability. The Allahabad temperature at Prayagraj, you call, the COVID spread below 35 was maximum, above 36 to 46, it went down to minimum. So these are the effects in UP in total. 30 to 33 it was rising, 33, 34 it attained the peak. Again at rising temperature it went down. So what I conclude in fact is that mix of humidity with temperature in Garhwal, in Prayagraj, in total UP, this is going to decline. And we conducted some multivariate analysis. These are of a technical academic value, those who understand. And ultimately, when we see pure humidity effect on this infection, it is always going down. So a bit of countering of temperature and humidity with the spread of, next slide please. Next slide please. So I explained the data on temperature with Uttarakhand, and you can see the variations with rise in temperature. Next slide please. This is Allahabad, Prayagraj you call. Below 35 it was maximum. Next slide please. Typical feature of UP when we considered so many places, even Uttarakhand was earlier in UP, so it rose up to 33 and then stabilized a bit and went down when temperature increased once again. Next slide please. So that is what I say, that in UP overall effect with the temperature was it went down, decline in linear regression, that is multivariate. Next slide please. Next slide please. Next please. Next please. Next please. So that is humidity effect. When we compare it with temperature, the combined way is to decline infection when temperature is under influence of humidity as such. Next slide please. So the transmission of viruses can be affected by several factors including climate. Therefore, it is essential to understand the role of weather conditions. How does they? Next slide please. 4 major Chinese cities significantly increased daily incidence, and virus-infected countries, lower temperatures are beneficial to the viral transmission. Ultimately, world over, we went down to this kind of thing, but there was no certainty, and that's why I conduct. Next slide, please. That's why I conducted the other. I took up other climatic parameters also. Next slide, please. And next slide, Amit. Anyway, let us conclude. Researchers think that it went through bats only, but in fact they have been supposed to have transmitted it to pangolin, and then it has been passed on to the people. So conclusively, with the global lockdown in process, the internet is abound with articles and social media outlets and pictures showing the planet being the unlikely beneficiary of this COVID pandemic. And hello, am I visible? Am I audible?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, there we end, sir. That's the end of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Malhotra, for giving a nice talk and showing us how the environment pollution has been affected and how the environment has gone well. It's all your intellectual thoughts which you have presented to us. Friends, we started in the morning with a topic on COVID-19 transformation of life system with Dr. Ganguly as the who inaugurated this one. I just remind you that coronavirus has been explained are a large family of RNA viruses. Sorry. 1 minute, please. Can you have slide sharing, please? Hello? Please allow me slide sharing.
Yes, sir. Just
allow slide sharing. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Can you see the slide?
No, sir.
No, sir.
तो slide sharing आया नहीं ना मेरे पास.
Sir, permission is given over here, so you can link the present now.
नहीं है नहीं ना यहाँ पे. Present. Okay. हाँ.
Window. Share the window.
नहीं आ नहीं रहा यार.
इसमें स्लाइड्स ओपन करके ना उसमें देन गो टू द प्रेजेंट नाउ.
एक मिनट.
तो आपकी प्रेजेंटेशन है ना.
हाँ जी.
उसको ओपन कर लीजिए. या अब हो रहा है.
Can you see now?
नहीं स्क्रीन आ गई उसमें जस्ट क्लिक ऑन द दिस प्रेजेंटेशन यस
आ गया?
स्लाइड शो कर लीजिए बस ठीक है ऊपर टॉप
आया कि नहीं?
आगे
Yeah. So as you have heard that coronaviruses are large family RNA viruses which cause illness in mammals and birds. In humans, the virus causes infections ranging from common cold to, as Madam Jan has told, severe like a Middle East respiratory syndrome, severe acute respiratory syndrome, what we saw, and ultimately COVID. The earliest reports on illness caused by coronavirus occurred in the late 1920s, as has been told earlier, in North Dakota, USA, where a new respiratory infection of domestic chicken was observed. And then there are different types of coronaviruses, as I say, alpha coronavirus, beta coronaviruses, and now other coronaviruses causing severe infections include SARS-CoV-1, MERS-CoV, SARS-CoV-2, which is now recently. Now, what is COVID-19? It's an abbreviation derived from the word corona disease 2019, which is an infectious disease caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2. I'm just giving an overview of what has been talked since morning. So COVID-19 was first identified December 2019 in Wuhan, Hubei, China, and resulted in an ongoing pandemic. As of 29th August 2020, more than 24.7 million cases were reported. But today, as per the record, we have more than 60 million people, rather 66 million people who are infected, and more than 200 countries and territories, resulting more than now there are about 1,000 deaths recorded now. Now, SARS-CoV-2 is zoonotic, which is transmissible between animals and humans. It shows a close genetic similarity to bat, coronavirus, and then, this is a structure. What is more important is that these spikes which are around it, and they are, because this is how the coronavirus look like, and there are, I'm not going to more details, and it's a spike glycoprotein which are important, which bind to the ACT receptor, as has been told by Dr. Jain. And after the spike protein binds to the receptor in the target cell, a viral envelope fuses with the cell membrane and releases the viral genome into the target cell. The spike glycoprotein binds to the human ACE2 receptor present target cell, and this is how timeline has been shown by Dr. Suri, that how the things happened and where we have reached today for that one. Now, it's a genome has been sequenced, which has facilitated toward the vaccination development of this one. And this is what Dr. Jain explained, that we have how it progresses from a simple to a middle type of disease, and ultimately COVID, wherein the cytokine explosion is there. So all these stages are, one passes to that one, but some passes very slowly, others very rapidly. It depends upon body's immune system or the immune system there. This is how it binds to the receptor and then replicates, and then it proliferates over there. And this is what is happening basically, what we've seen. One of the anti-AIDS drugs is working very nicely to inhibit the RNA polymerase, which polymerizes RNA for its the polymerization of the virus. And this is how Indian strain, it's a little different from others, and about 50,000 mutations have been detected about in the strain. Now, this is the latest statement, yesterday's statement. In India, we have 96,56,682 till yesterday were there, and 140,000 deaths have occurred, but 91 lakh have been recovered. And this is the world. 67 million people were affected till since morning, and this is how many deaths are recovering is there. Now we are talking about the vaccines, and Dr. Jain also talked, Dr. Suri also talked about this one. These are the clinical trials: Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, Novavax, Pfizer, and Pfizer now has reached up to top about this one. Then Moderna is also following it, and Sinovac, and they are the that clinical tree. How many participants are there? And this is how they have shown which are one at phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Different numbers have been given, and how whether they are killed virus vaccine or mRNA virus or DNA virus, all those have been explained there. So what basically impact is the COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in immediate, serious, and worldwide human health issues. Not necessary measures to counter the virus, such as quarantine, limited human movements, nationwide lockdown, and other restrictions have been implemented in several countries, and it's very well explained by starting from Dr. Ganguly in details and giving the importance and types of the masks, how they work, and then Dr. Suri followed it, how to untie the mask and other things through videos, he showed it. Then efforts to control virus restrictive vehicular traffic, shut down economic activities, closure of borders, and trade is inevitably causing economic shocks and social costs that affected the functioning of agriculture, food system, health system, education system, above all, the lifestyle, which has basically explained very nicely by Dr. Santosh Kumarji and others. Besides the indirect effects, pandemic on agricultural system across the globe with higher effects on developing nations such as India has been witnessed. And the economic shocks will likely be affect severe India for two reasons. Pre-COVID-19, the economy was already slowing down. Compounding existing problems of unemployment, low incomes, rural distress, malnutrition, and a rise in food prices. Some of the things explained by Dr. Ganguly in his speech that way. So friends, basically what we feel, the overall upsurging pandemic has really put us in a new thought process. The environment which was feeling relaxed during the lockdown period, and we had a lowest the carbon outlet and other things. The biodiversity was enjoying. Even in Chandigarh, we saw that on this road near the lake, the animals were walking freely, and even the university, when we walked, we could see that how the trees were enjoying, how the roads were clean, and there was no part pollution. And Dr. Sandeep has shown a picture of the India Gate before COVID-19 and during COVID-19, but he should have shown today what is happening. The things are coming back because of we are not bothered. We are going back to pre-situation. I think the time has come, as the speaker has told, that we must take care. We feel happy that vaccines are coming, but how effective the vaccines will be? Are all the people going to be having a safety from those viruses? Because we are so different from each other. The vaccine developed in UK, we may not have as much success as in UK that in India, because we are quite different. Our lifestyle is different from that one. We may not be having such a success. So what is required is that, again I repeat, MDH, that is mask, distance, and hand washing. That is very, very important, as has been stressed by all these speakers. And that this is going to save us from future. And in the end, I express my gratitude to Dr. Upkar Krishanji, Engineer Upkarji, who has allowed us to launch this seminar under the aegis of the newly launched Chandigarh Forum for Science and Technology Communication, which Dr. Ganguly has already given blessings, and I know that he will accept the chief patronship of that one. And I am really obliged to the principal of this institute, who has again given all the facilities to Dr. Batra to create this one. I think the webinar would not have been possible unless it was, it had the, the guidance of Dr. N.K. Ganguly, the best of the, what I can say, administrator, the scientist, and as well as a human being who has given over a picture of the COVID-19 and how to live with that one. And then followed by Dr. Jain, Dr. Suri, Dr. Jain, Dr. Santosh Kumarji, and Dr. Sandeep Malhotra. They have done a wonderful job in explaining their own areas in a best of the possible way with the presentations. I am obliged to all of you, sir, for sparing time for us. It was a wonderful treat for us of the ideas or the thought process, and probably the participants must have gained something. Their neurons must have got a spark to think new things, to innovate, how to survive in the new normal, in the new world, because there's a new word in the sense there's no demarcation. Even see, it has done a job much worse than the nuclear bomb. Nuclear bomb might not have affected the whole world, but the virus has affected, and especially that it has shown the way that don't think you are a big person, don't think you are a big country. I can do anything. So microbe has transformed, revolutionized, I'll say. The microbe has revolutionized the macro system, which the nuclear bomb might have failed to do that one. And that is why it's such a wonderful experience. I'm really obliged. Once again, I pay my gratitude to Dr. Engineer Upkar Sharma ji, who is, see, he's such a positive man. I just talked to him a year back that we want to launch something. Go ahead, my institution is available. And he showed me all his seminar hall, and I have never heard any negative comma from him whenever I have met him. That is why this institute is only one institute in the country, in the city, which is a college with excellence. And they are also college in excellence in biotechnology too, under the leadership of my very dynamic student and our colleague Navneet Batraji, and also the respective principal of this college. So thank you, Upkarji, thank you, Navneet ji, thank you, Dr. Ganguly ji, thank you, Santosh ji, thank you, Dr. Sandeep ji, thank you, Dr. Jain, thank you, Dr. Suri, thank you all, thank you, Batra, thanks a lot. And now I request Dr. Navneet Batra to have a formal vote of thanks. Dr. Batra.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words and blessings. On behalf of Department of Biotechnology, GGDSD College, Chandigarh, I am very thankful to Professor R.C. Sopti, who has been my mentor and teacher from my master's and PhD and till date. He has been a guiding force for us and hope he will keep showering his blessings to us for organization of such programs. And by having speakers from different areas, so actually we are able to learn how this COVID-19 has transformed our life systems. We have with us Professor N.K. Ganguly. I am very thankful to you, sir, for giving us time and sharing your views with the speakers. I am very thankful to Dr. Vikas Suri, Dr. Vidmala Jain, Professor Santosh Kumar, Professor Malhotra for giving us valuable time. I am also thankful to President of our governing body, Shri Upkar Kishan Sharma ji, with whose blessings, and Dr. Balraj Thapar, Principal of the college, who is available with us every time and encouraging us for organization of such programs. and we'll hope we'll soon join again for such more programs. I am very thankful to all the participants and also the faculty of Department of Biotechnology for organization of this program. Thank you very much.
I invite all the participants to become a member of this very forum, and Dr. Navneet Batra will give you the performer for that one. And I hope all of you become, and I request all the resource person to be founder, because it's not restricted to Chandigarh, it's overall from the North India. I request you to become founder member of this very forum, and we will have very soon a next webinar on biomedical sciences and their applications for human life. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you,
are
Dr.
concluding this
Thank you.
session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Dr. Santoshji.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you, Dr. Navneet, for coordinating well and helping, and Professor Sopti sir, Dr. Malhotra sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mutaji.
Thank you, sir.